Hey there, Griff Hamlin here. Welcome and thanks for joining me today. In this video, we're going to learn how to play a song called Key to the Highway, and it's a very standard, traditional, classic blues tune. It's an 8-bar blues. Now, I actually have another video that I've done on the 8-bar blues form using Key to the Highway, but this is going to be a little bit different in that we're actually going to look at how to play this tune. And we're going to start, I'll say, very easy. That's the whole idea here, actually, is to start really, really easy and just get something that sounds like music. And then I'll show you some ways to kind of liven it up a little bit as we go. Okay, so we're going to be using 3 chords. The first chord is going to be A7. And the way that I play an A7 chord is I get the open 5th string, the A string. You'll notice that my thumb on my fretting hand, my left hand, is kind of reaching over and it's barely touching that low E string. And that's just in case when I strum, if I accidentally hit that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But we have that open A. We have my middle finger is at the 2nd fret of the 4th string. I have the open 3rd string. I have a finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. Can't think today. And I have the open 1st string. Okay. If you wish, you could add a pinkie to the 3rd fret of the 1st string. That's 2 different voicings. You can even do it with a bar. You can actually do that. Kind of a bar A and add the 3rd finger or any finger to that 3rd fret on the top string. And those can work, those options can work, because as you'll see, we're actually going to kind of talk about the fact that if you vary the chord voicing, it makes for a nice variation as you go. So you might actually want to learn both of those voicings. But the next chord that we're going to need is E7, good old open E7. So for the E7, I have my open E, I have a middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. My 1st finger's at the 1st fret of the 3rd string. The other strings are all open. And again, if I want to add a little variation, I can put my pinkie on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Those are both E7, but they're what we call different voicings. Now the last chord is going to be D7. So I have my open D. Again, I have my thumb muting out that low E string in case I accidentally strike it. I'm not supposed to hit the open A string, but it might happen, and it's okay because there is an A in this chord. It's not the end of the world. So I have a finger, my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, my 1st finger is at the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and my 3rd finger is at the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And I don't really have a variation for that. That's the D7. So we have A7 with a possible variation, E7 with a possible variation, and D7. So the way this song is going to go is 1 bar of A7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now notice that what I'm going to do is the most basic strum is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. I've talked in other videos about how blues fundamentally divides each beat into 3 pieces, 1 and 2 and so I'm not going to get into it here, but I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's why I count that way. I don't play anything on the and. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Then down to the E, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the D7, 1, 2, 3, for 2 bars. 2, 2, 3, 4. Now the A7, 2, 3, 4. The E7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the last 2 bars are called the turnaround. The easiest way is just to play A7, 1, 2, 3, E7, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to add a little fun, you can do some sort of turnaround idea. So one turnaround idea that's very simple, because because of this, the voicing of this chord, is to take these two fingers and slide them up 3 frets. And then come down. It sounds a little funky, like you wouldn't want to just sort of strum that chord, but it works okay if we do it in time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm going to strike the A on beat 1, 1, and then I'll go to the E7 on 2, 2, and 3, and 4, and... Okay, so I know that's a little bit strange, that kind of turnaround, because it seems like on beat 1 I should be at the E7 chord. But the note that you're playing, that note there, is an E. So this is kind of gray area blues stuff. There's a lot of things that happen in blues that we just kind of do it that way. We don't necessarily have a great explanation for it. Okay, so that turnaround again is A7, and 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going 5th fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I play it all together with that turnaround, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now E, 3, 4. Now D. Now the A. Now the E. And now here's my turnaround. 2, 3. And then we're back to the top again. And remember, there's no stopping, there's no nothing that comes between the first and the second and the third and the fourth, okay? And you can play that and you just put the words over it, okay? Now you just sing along. That's the whole form. It's an 8-bar form. It's just those 8 measures. That's it. It's never going to change, okay? Now, one thing you can do that I like to do is to start it with the turnaround. So a lot of times you'll hear, I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then here's the beginning. Got the key to the highway, built out and bound to go. Gonna leave here running, walking's much too slow. Okay, now if I want, if that strum gets a little tiresome, you know, striking on every single beat like that gets a little tiresome, there's kind of a cool thing you can do. If you think about the fact that on beats 2 and beat 4, that's kind of where a snare drum might hit. That'll give us a backbeat. So what you might notice is I'll often go 1, 2. So on beat 2, I'll let my right palm hit the strings and mute them out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I do it on 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. But I don't do it on the turnaround. 1, 2. So then I'm doing it again. Okay. Now, that's one variation. It's one kind of easy variation. I'll say, if you feel pretty comfortable with that strum, you can probably just mute out on beats 2 and 4. Again, if you don't know where beats 2 and 4 is, that's a problem. So as always, I always recommend counting out loud. Make sure you know where everything is supposed to happen. One of the other things that you could do is use the variation on the A7 and on the E7. Okay, but I don't play it the whole time. I don't play either one the whole time. I do something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. There's my variation. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Here's my variation. So I kind of use the regular until beat 2. And then I use the variation until beat 4, or vice versa. It's a nice way to kind of mix things up. So if I do those hits on 2 and 4, and I use the different things, and I start with the turnaround, it'll go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got the key to the highway, loud and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, long and runs too slow. Going back, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, you can use, I'll say, the standard, blues in A. But for sometimes when you're just playing by yourself, it's just nice to hear the whole chord come out. So for something that's easy, that blues in A pattern, a lot of people say it's really easy, but there's some subtleties to it that make it a little bit more difficult. So I think something like this, where you're just strumming the chord, getting a little bit of variation in the chord shape and in the voicing, and just kind of putting all that together, I think that's a nicer sound when you're playing by yourself. If you really want to get, you're trying to get the whole impression of the song. And so for me, that just has a better sound to it. So I hope you enjoy that and play around with it. I don't know all the words to that song off the top of my head, but hopefully you know most of them and you can put them in there and add them all together. And it's a great song to play. It's an absolute standard, traditional, favorite blues tune. So I hope you have some fun with that. Enjoy yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.